coming to you live here on X, live now on YouTube, as Watford have dropped a game today to Sheffield United by a score of 2-1. Yes, it's a problem. Watford have now lost 4 of their last 5, which of course is a tremendous problem now. You do have a bit of a slump going on here. I don't think you can deny that, fellow Watford supporters. We've got a concern, a slump on the cards. 4 out of 5 we've lost. But I can tell you this, what gives me some encouragement, at least in this game, was the way Watford fought. They fought to the end like Graham Taylor would have wanted them to, and Tom Cleverley wants them to. So I've got no problem with the Watford effort today, the Watford fight today. I thought Loser was terrific. I thought that Jeremy Ngakia had a very good game, obviously his first ever goal for the club. So I was delighted for him. Rocco Vata was terrific. And you really can't say enough about him. Loser, we missed him, and you saw how good he was today in midfield. He was absolutely brilliant. Werner Hornet says, yes, it's a shame. It is. It's a tremendous shame, Verwood. I'm still looking at this now. And he's still on the ground. He's still on the ground. I'm still looking at these pictures. He is still on the ground. So, you know, this is a very, very painful way to end the game. Daniel Backman, who made some very important saves in this one, is you know, he obviously has a severe injury with his ankle, something like that, and very, very painful indeed. And so that is what you're looking at today. Your comments, please, on X. Your comments, please, on YouTube will be welcomed. If you want to have a say, please get on the request button and hit that button, and I'll be glad to patch you in. After Watford 1, Sheffield United 2. Sheffield United, I don't think were quite up to their best today, but they were very clinical and very precise. And that's what you need to be when you're in the top 2 or 3. We all need to be that way, no matter where we are in the division. Watford today should have been able to get a point out of this game. They tried so hard. Daniel Backman kept the team in it, and Watford just could not score. Barr had an opportunity, just couldn't get enough on that header that flashed across the goal in front of the rookery. Georgie had a massive chance. I think the biggest chance of that second half, Georgie, straight down the middle, he goes against the goalkeeper, when instead there's a space to the goalkeeper's right-hand side. If he fires that ball low and hard, he scores there. It's a shame. That, I think, was the biggest chance of the second half for us. Georgie had a remarkable opportunity to make that a 2-2 contest, and instead he puts the ball straight into the path of the goalkeeper, who makes a good save, but he fires it straight at him when he should have gone to the goalkeeper's right. Had he done that, we would be talking most likely a different match. And now you see Daniel Backman being stretchered off. Oh, this is such a horrible scene. I'm going to put the, you know, you don't want to really put these kinds of pictures on X, do you? But, you know, there's all kinds of stuff on X that's a whole lot worse than what I'm about to tweet or post on X. So listen, this is, you know, by far, this is not the kind of thing you want to see. It's not a graphic photo that I'm about to post on X. So if you are listening on X at the moment, get ready in the next 10 seconds or so to see a photo that I am going to be posting for everyone at youorns WFC. And this is a really, really bad end to this game. Wow. I don't know what to say, really. I mean, I do know what to say, and I'll read your comments out. It's a really, really bad one here. And plus the results today went Watford's way. That's what really infuriates you. Burnley won against Blackburn Rovers. Swansea got a late draw at home to West Brom. You saw Hull and Leeds get a 3-3 draw. Middlesbrough won, Cardiff City won. I mean, all those results went our way today. It's a very, very sad thing. You know, it's a very sad thing what happened. Football injuries happen. Oftentimes they happen without any contact or impact from someone else. I've just posted that picture on X. Very, very sad indeed to see that photograph of Daniel Backman there being stretchered off. If you look at the table now, Watford are down to 9th at the moment, played 25, won 11, drawn 4, and lost 10, with a -1 goal difference on 37 points. Bristol City have actually leapfrogged us into 8th. 26 games played for Bristol City, a +3 goal difference for them. They're on 37. Blackburn, who lost at home to Burnley today. Who hasn't lost at home to Burnley? Blackburn in 7th on 39 points. West Brom into that top 6 on 40 points. Middlesbrough 41 points. So Watford today could have got at least a little closer to the top 6 had they won. Those are your immediate places now. Watford now 3 points off the playoffs at this point after this 2-1 defeat, our second consecutive defeat at home, our third defeat in a row, and our fourth in our last 5 games. Wow. When you read it out like that, fellow Watford supporters, it makes for really grim reading. But for me, what makes for even grimmer reading at the moment is Daniel Backman being stretchered off, injured. Look, I called for Jonathan Bond to be in this starting lineup for a long time, but not like this. You know, you don't want Daniel Backman out injured like this in such a severe manner. But it's happened. It's happened. And this is going to be now a real test of character for these lads. How are they going to go about the rest of this? They're in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. They are in the middle of a slump, 4 out of 5. They've conceded in each of the first of these last 5 games in the first 15 minutes. So now, we will now see how Tom Cleverley manages this particular mini crisis, because it now is your goalkeeper's out injured, God knows for how long. And I don't think it's not like he's going to be back in another couple of weeks. That is an injury. When you see a player stretch it off, I don't care who it is, that's going to be at least a month out. Now, I'm no physio and I'm no doctor, not a doctor, but I can tell you, and this is a fellow Watford supporter as well, when you see someone stretch it off, he is not going to be back in the lineup in 2 weeks' time. That is a long-term injury. Listen, I don't want to sound like I'm boasting here, but that's a long-term injury. That's a serious injury. And I really pray that Daniel Backman has a speedy recovery from that, because that you could just see the agony, him writhing around. It's just horrible, horrible stuff. Fellow Watford supporters, your comments today. It's been a really unfortunate day. Graham Taylor Matchday tarnished in the end with that horrible injury to Daniel Backman. We showed some real fighting spirit today. I'm going to read out your comments on X and on YouTube. I want to thank you for them. Don't we have a keeper in Scotland on loan doing well? Maybe a recall, says Steve. Thank you, Steve, for that on X. I think we do. I don't remember his name, though. But yeah, I think we do have a keeper that's on loan somewhere. And I don't know if we can get a recall, but we're going to need to do something now, obviously, in this transfer market, because you now have Daniel Backman out for what could be God knows how long. We'll find out at some point from Tom Cleverley as to how long he will be out for. But there's no question about this, fellow Watford supporters. And Steve, thank you for your comment on X, that we do need a goalkeeper in there. Now, obviously, Jonathan Bond is going to be playing the next game that Watford play, which will be Thursday in the Cup. He was probably going to play that game anyhow. So that's not really any major adjustment for Johnny Bond, who, of course, has been around the club before in the previous iteration with the Hornets. He's back again. He did well when he was in the lineup earlier this season to start in goal, and he gets it right back in goal on Thursday night at Craven Cottage. So look, this is what Johnny Bond would have done anyway. Bond would have been in that lineup anyway for Thursday. But we do need another goalkeeper. Steve is absolutely right. We do need another goalkeeper, and we're going to need, if we can't get him off alone, Steve, and we're going to have to, if we can't recall him off the loan, Steve, we're going to have to go out in the market and get somebody, whoever we can get, whoever wants to come here, because now the priorities are now a goalkeeper. I mean, immediate priorities, goalkeeper. I think we need a midfielder again. TDB, he's not back quite training yet, so goodness knows how long that's going to be. And then you've got to also figure, fellow Watford supporters, what's going on there in the strike force, because the strikers didn't do anything today, did they? The bottom line is we had a back 3 to start the game. It was Ogbonna anchoring, Ogbonna on the left, Pollock on the right, and Sierralta in the middle. That's your best back 3 for us when you're dealing with a back 3. And you had Barr on one side of the forward side, and you had I think Kayembe on one, Vata on one side perhaps, and then in the middle. Goodness gracious, I always forget these combinations. I think it was Barr was in the middle at the minute to start with. On the right side, I think you had Ryan Andrews or Kayembe, and on the left you had Vata. something of the sort there to start your forward three with Georgie just behind just behind them. I think that's how your formation started. Then, of course, they reverted to a back four. The subs, I've got no real question about the subs today. Bottom line is that is what happens. No problem for me with the subs. Maybe you could have brought them on a bit earlier, maybe not. But look, I'm proud of the fight that the team showed, the character that they showed. We kept going for the game. We didn't feel sorry for ourselves today at all. We kept fighting. None of the, and we got into a couple of scrapes with United players, but that happens. No problem with that. We kept our heads. I thought Bard did his thing, was electrifying as usual. Vata electrifying as well. And Loser was your best player today. And Jeremy Ngakia played very well. Very pleased for him to get his first goal in a Watford shirt. He deserves that. He has played well since he's come back from injury. I don't think any of us can complain about the effort of Jeremy Ngakia today. I think, as I said, he has played well since he's returned to the side from injury. You feel good for the lads. He's been out for a long time of injuries. He's had an injury hit career at Watford. I think that's fair to say. And to see him finally get his first goal, I think that's a really good thing for the lad. Personally, I'm sad that obviously we didn't get the point, at least in this game. But we did show the fighting spirit, which I'm very pleased with on this very special day, Graham Taylor match day. I think he would have been proud of this kind of fight back despite the defeat. But the thing that really, I think, puts a real pall over everything was the injury at the very end. The referee blew his whistle. He said, well, I don't want any of this to continue on because if I have to wait here and continue this, I'll be playing another 20 extra minutes. And so the referee blew the whistle with Daniel Backman right there in front of the goal, writhing around in agony, and about a million physios on the pitch. I mean, it was really a sad sight. And I'm sure many of you have already seen the photos. I posted one just a few minutes ago here on X. For those of you listening on X, thank you very much for the Watford supporters for doing that. That picture tells the whole story. It's a very, very sad scene to see Daniel Backman off. Listen, I don't care what kind of criticism that we've lobbied at Backman at times, and he did do something really foolish early in the game that really almost cost us. I don't care what criticisms we lob at him from a footballing standpoint. Nobody likes to see your goalkeeper or any football player on your team or any other for that matter injured. Not in that manner, not in that way. That could be, God knows. I mean, I don't want to go and exaggerate here. Things like these can be career enders. I don't know the extent of the injury, but when you see a man writhing around like that, it's really painful to see. And so, thank you very much for continuing to stick by here on YouOrns post match. Your thoughts are welcome. I'll read out your comments on X. If you don't want to come on the microphone, then you can also leave your comments on X, which I'm about to read, and also on YouTube as well. I'm going to be reading those right now, as a matter of fact, but you are welcome to chime in on X with the microphone. Miles Roberts on loan at Partick Thistle, said Gary. Thank you. I was trying to figure out the name of the gentleman, and Gary has given that to us. Thank you, Gary. Miles Roberts on loan at Partick Thistle. That is indeed in Scotland. And so if Watford could recall him on an emergency recall loan back, that would be good, because I think we do need that fortification. But if they are not able to do that, Gary and everyone else watching and listening, then they're going to have to go out in the market. That's got to be your first priority. You've got to get a goalkeeper in there. Watford have shown you that they can score goals. I would love them to score more goals than they do. But look, right now your priority is a goalkeeper. I don't care what anybody tells me. Priority number one now with this long-term injury, what it looks like for Daniel Backman. And I'm saying this perhaps a bit recklessly, but also I think with a bit of sense, because you just look at those scenes at the end and they tell you everything you need to know about what the situation is for Daniel Backman. I do wish Daniel a speedy recovery. Daniel Backman, who is the club captain, and again, I thought had some generally good moments today, except for that one early in the match. He really did make some very important saves late on that kept the game at 2-1, gave us a chance. Unfortunately, we weren't clinical at the top end of the pitch. Georgie missed a sitter. That was a big one there in the second half, as I said. Bio just couldn't get enough on that header. It flashed across the goal. He just couldn't put enough on it, enough purchase on it. Bio was quiet when he came on until that moment. but he was generally quiet in the game. He came on around 62nd minute. Brucey came on later than that. Barr was terrific. Loser, you can see how much of a difference he makes in our midfield. Really anchored it well. Really loved the patience that he showed, the quality on the ball, the deliberation with his passes. He's very careful. He recycles the ball well, keeps things moving. He's always running. He's always moving. He's always sensing where the angles are and where the spaces are to pass the ball, the channels in which to do that in. He looks at the runners. I mean, this is why Luzer's a terrific midfielder. He really looks at the passages of play and the channels that these lads are running into, and he measures the pass so well. How many balls did we see him pass through up the left side early in the game and later in the game, right on to the feet of on-rushing Watford players? He measures the ball and the pass so well. He's one of our best passers out of midfield. You've got to love Imran Loser. This is a man now who is on something of a renaissance for us. This is a man now who was on the out and outs with Val Ishmael. I remember that with the discipline issues there. And now he has shown you he is top dollar, top pound, top quality, top euro, whatever you want to say, whichever currency you measure. Imran Loser is every bit of it. And he's shown you again today that he's got some leadership in there, quiet leadership, and he just gets the job done and he talks with his play. That's what he does. He's not a big talker, but he talks with his play on the pitch. He leads by example. He doesn't back down. You saw him get into a scrape there with Tom Davies, who was pushing people around, and then Loser said, "Wait a minute, you're not pushing my players around." And that's what you want. We lack a bit of that fight from the Graham Taylor era. If they, if the Graham Taylor era, you would have had Watford players surrounding a player who did that. We didn't back down from anything in them days. And so there was a spirit and a renaissance in that too. And you saw Imran Loser kind of recreate that today in front of the Rookery in the first half of the game. Watford, I think, today did everything they could to make Graham Taylor proud. I think they did everything they could to fashion a fight back here. This is not disappointing for me in terms of the spirit of how Watford played. They were livelier in the first half than we've seen them at the Vic. They moved the ball quickly today, especially in the first half. I thought they got a lot of composure. There was a lot of good attacking intent in the first half from us. And in fact, throughout the game, we had a lot of really good attacking intent. And that's what you want to see at the Vic. I thought Ryan Andrews, who'd kind of come in from the cold because he was on the bench in a number of these games. I thought that Tom Cleverley starting him turned out to be a good thing because you saw his cutback as the assist for the goal from Jeremy Ngakia. So I'm very pleased about that. But we didn't lack the confidence today. We just lacked the finish. And that's what it was. We did have a few yellow cards there that were a bit tricky, a bit dodgy. Look, the bottom line that I've not even talked about yet is the handball. Everybody in the building, and I put this on X as well, at youorns WFC. Everyone in the building knows that was a handball. Sheffield United handballed that right in the penalty box. And you can go look at the picture I posted or any other. Go on youorns at WFC, at youorns WFC, pardon me, on X. You will see, it was probably from about 20 minutes ago now, that I posted the actual moment where the handball happens. It's just so blatantly a handball. And as much as many of us rail against VAR, as much of us can't stand the people who make these decisions, it's not the VAR that's the problem. It's the people looking at it who somehow don't know how to operate it properly. That's where I think many of us as footballing fans, as Watford fans, complain about it, and why fans across the league and across football can't stand it is because the people operating it don't know half the time what they're doing. And if they had VAR here, you would hope, you would pray that somebody could actually see that Burrows stuck out his arm. It comes straight off his arm out. I mean, that is absolutely hand to ball. Because there's Sissoko right behind him. And he knows that if he don't control that with his arm, Sissoko can pounce on that and hopefully put it in the back of the net. And I'm sure he probably would have. Sissoko can find the back of the net at times. And so that was a really critical moment of the game. And again, that's a problem for us as well. We had the VAR that didn't get properly executed today. Referee wasn't the worst referee we've had, but very questionable refereeing at times in this game. My goodness me, ref. That was a clear handball. Oh my God, all day long. But you know what? That is what happens when you even up things in games. Remember just a couple of games ago, a couple of home matches ago, when we played against Portsmouth and Portsmouth got a penalty, we got a penalty that we didn't really have because the ball and the challenge were outside the box and the challenge was made outside the box. Well, this is an example of things evening up in football. That's what happens. And listen, remember that from a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago, whatever it was. We clearly should not have had a pen. We got the pen and we got the win. But today, should have had a handball. We didn't get it. That was at the same end of the pitch where the non-penalty was given to us. I do believe in these kinds of things for the Watford supporter. I do believe in things like karma. I do believe in things like these things even out over a football season. I do believe in that. And I think that's what happened today for us as well. But the bottom line is you cannot be upset about the fight that Watford showed today. They were tireless. In some ways, even though we lost this game, and there's no shame in losing the game to Sheffield United, the fight back that we showed at the Vic was better than a lot of games in which we've won. So you knew that Watford, I felt, were going to play better today because of the fact that we play up or down to the level of our competition. And again, I do want you to go to the Youorns WFC YouTube channel, follow on there. Don't forget to also follow at Youorns WFC on Instagram and on X. And please do follow and subscribe and like the videos on YouOrns WFC on YouTube. But I have to say the fight today was a really good one from us. Now, Matt on YouTube says, we battled from start to finish, which makes a change. Our heads didn't drop for a change after going behind twice. I'm sorry. Why do I think Backman could be out for months with how long he's been down for? Yeah, Matt on YouTube, thank you again. Matt is always a really good contributor, regular contributor on YouTube. It's always appreciated, Matt. Thank you very much for doing that. And Matt, you're correct. This is a months-long injury. Look, we're neither of us, you and I are not doctors, Matt, obviously. I mean, I don't know, maybe you are a doctor. But I'm not a medical doctor. I'm in another profession, but not in medical, not in medicine. But I can tell you, Matt, you and I are thinking the same way on this, and I know that you and I, Matt, are not the only two Watford supporters on the globe who think that this is a long-term injury. He's going to be out for months here. Listen, I know it sounds like I'm doomsaying, but let's be honest with what we're looking at. The man was down there for about 10 minutes before they stretched him off. So again, if you're an ex, you can go to at YouOrns WFC. You can follow there as well, but you can go on at YouOrns WFC and look at that photograph of him being stretchered off. It's just a very sad sight. It tarnishes the game. It tarnishes the occasion. Yes, we lost the game, and that would have been rough enough. But you can't be happy, obviously, about this. This is a really sad moment for Watford there. Matt has some more comments I'll read out in a moment, but on X, Steve says, by sheer coincidence, this was posted this morning. Miles Roberts could possibly return to Watford as he could be recalled from his loan spell at Partick Thistle. Now, that was from someone, Henry Bennett, who posted that 16 hours ago, and Steve retweeted or reposted that. Thank you, Steve, on X for doing that. Isn't that something? That's unbelievable. You really can't. You really cannot. Sometimes coincidences are coincidences, and sometimes they're more than that. That at least that's what I believe in. I don't believe in hocus pocus, but I do believe that sometimes coincidences are coincidences, and sometimes they can possibly be more than just that. But that is really something, isn't it? Thank you, Steve, for the post there on X. Thank you for that. Back to YouTube with the comments. What were your thoughts, says Matt, about the penalty call we had near the end of the game that wasn't given? I know, Matt, you posted that about 20 minutes ago, so I'm sorry that I'm only just getting to your comment now. As you can tell, I have addressed that, but I will again here. From the commentary, when they saw the reply, said Matt, they said the Sheffield United player arm was in an unusual position. And as you have heard now, Matt, and I'll repeat it again for people who've just joined, that was a straight out handball. I have posted the video, the freeze frame, rather, not the video. I posted a screenshot that I took at the moment that happened. So Sheffield United got away with one there. But as I said earlier, and you know this, Matt, the bottom line here is that this is a payback. Remember when we had the Portsmouth game and the penalty was given that really wasn't a penalty, clearly outside the box? Well, this is the payback. This is the thing that evens things out. I believe that football evens itself out during the course of a season. And sometimes when you get the benefit of a break, that break will be taken away from you again. And it's happened right in the same area of the pitch. I mean, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding you. Where the handball was about 5 yards or less away from where Ito Kayembe was brought down outside the box, or who a bar was brought down outside the box. It was less than 5 yards away on the same area of the pitch. Again, maybe I'm overselling this a bit here, but I do believe that these things, karma and things like this, are real. I do believe that, and I do believe today that this was one of those kinds of things that was one of the paybacks for what we got a benefit of. That wasn't a penalty a few weeks ago against Portsmouth, and now today, blatant penalty, we don't get it. These things even themselves out there, Matt. Thank you for that. It's still frustrating though. I don't want to make it I don't want to seem so flippant about it because yes, yeah, while I think it might have been payback for the Portsmouth penalty that we didn't shouldn't have ever got, it's still painful in a situation like that. That clearly was a penalty today, and you know it, and we all know it. And I was screaming in the Portsmouth game that we shouldn't have got that penalty. And I said that you know, and it's incredible I said this. You want to talk about coincidences because back in that post match, I said after the Portsmouth game, you know very well if there's a penalty that we have and it's not given, we'll be screaming about it. And I said that there'll be a game like Sheffield United where they get the benefit of something. And that's exactly what happened. I'll even go back and try to locate where that is and put it in the podcast episode because I said that day after that post match that we got the benefit of a call and a team like Sheffield United come in here. And if they come in and get something, we're going to be screaming about it. And as we are, we're doing that. You know, Philip Mason says Sheffield United showed their class, but Watford couldn't be accused of not competing this time. But the lack of a clinical striker and the ineptitude of Backman is holding us back, says Philip Mason. Philip, Backman today, it was the tale of two Backmans. He was very nightmarish in the first part of the game, almost cost us a goal in that first half. I mean, I don't know what he was doing there, but for me, Backman in the second half was much more improved, made three very important saves, including those late. And then the other thing about Backman, as I'm sure you know by now, Philip, he is severely injured. This is I know that we've criticized him. I've criticized him about some of his footballing choices in terms of what he does on the pitch. But right now, for me, Daniel Backman is going to be out for a long time. And I know they're going to be Watford fans, dare I say it, who are not going to be missing Daniel Backman. And they're going to be probably some nasty things being said about Daniel Backman. I hope I'm wrong. I hope fans knock that off because Graham Taylor would not have been standing for that either on this match day or any other day. So, Watford fans out there who are not Backman fans, I do hope that you can find it in your soul to wish him a speedy recovery, as I will certainly do here, because it's been a very rough go for him. You saw him at the end. I posted on X at youorns WFC the photo screenshot that I took of him as he was being stretchered off. It was really, it's just not pleasant. And I'm sure there'll be replays of how he injured himself. It was his ankle somewhere. It was really, really bad. So, Philip, I hear your comments. Thank you for your comments. I think you're right. They can't be accused of not competing. I spoke about that before you made your comment there, Philip. But the bottom line is that really pleased with Watford's fight back. Obviously not pleased with the result. Sheffield United were more clinical, and that's why they won the game. They were incisive, a bit more than we were. But for the vast majority of that game, we were really putting heaps and heaps of pressure on that United team. We just weren't clinical enough. And that's really the reason why the game ended as Watford 1, Sheffield United 2. Can we get, says Matt, can we get the ref to Specsavers? Can we get the ref to Specsavers? Yep. As far as that penalty shout that wasn't given, the penalty wasn't given. Yeah, he needs to go to Specsavers. I've said this before about certain referees. The referee that gave us the penalty against Portsmouth needed to go to Specsavers. I was really livid about that. even though it was in favor of my team, because I know how these things work. I know, and so do you, fellow Watford supporters. You know how this works in football. And I was really ticked off. I really was when that penalty was given because we didn't deserve it because it wasn't a pen. And I know full well, as do you, fellow Watford supporters, that that's going to come back to bite us in a game down the line. And what? Look, less than 2 weeks later, boom, Boxing Day that happened. That was 8 days ago or so. And look where we are now. Penalty that we should have had. Blatant penalty. I posted that on X at youorns WFC. Blatant penalty. Blatant. Man's got his hand out a mile, and the ball and you can see the ball make. I mean, the ball's hit his arm. It's hand to ball. I just don't know. And the referee, there were a couple of Watford players. Musa Sissoko was right there because it happened right in front of him, and he turned and rushed to the ref. Referee's giving him a look like he's crazy. And the referee's looking at him like, "What are you talking about?" And he waved him away. Go away. Telling him, go away. Go away. Oh my God, it's a handball all day. Unbelievable stuff there, Matt. Yeah, he needs to go to Specsavers pronto. Absolutely ridiculous stuff. Speedy says this. Hello, Speedy on YouTube. Got the prediction the wrong way around. Why didn't we play the ex-United striker? Yeah, Speedy adds that comment as well. Daniel Jefferson is whom Speedy is referring to on YouTube. Yeah, why didn't we play him? I was surprised that Tom Cleverley didn't play Daniel Jefferson there today. I would have thought that after not playing in the previous game against QPR, I would have thought that after sitting him for that game, that you would have actually played him today. And I don't understand what the thinking there was, Speedy, in not playing Daniel Jefferson, but I think he should have. I think he missed a trick there. Did the manager should have put him in? You got to put him in against your former club. That can motivate a player. That can spur a player on. That can absolutely give him some fuel and some confidence to go against his former employers. Um, and I know he's on loan. I think Daniel Jefferson. So I think he's on loan from Sheffield United, and that would probably be the reason why he didn't play. So I've actually corrected myself and answered your question at the same time, Speedy. But actually, that's not true because he's on loan from Bournemouth. So I've corrected myself again in the space of a few seconds. So the question still stands, Speedy, as you ask on YouTube. Why didn't we play him? I don't understand why we didn't. I think is the best answer I can give you, Speedy. He was actually I can tell you why he was not named to the squad. That's why. Speedy, I've actually just answered the question yet again. There's three different answers for you, Speedy, in about 3 minutes. um, the simple fact is that he was not in the squad today, there, Speedy. So that's why he didn't play. Then the question I'm sure would be, well, why wasn't he in the squad? Well, whether there's injury, whether there's some kind of situation, maybe I'm not aware of, maybe I've not come across. That would be the reason, Speedy, that he did not play today. It would have been good for him to play the game. I would have really liked that to happen. Have him not start, but come off the bench and see what he can do. He's low on confidence, and this would have been a game where I think you could have put him in to see what he could do. Any more comments for you on X? If not, I'm going to be moving forward to Instagram land and saying goodbye to those of you on X. I do want to thank you very much indeed on X for your comments, for attending today for the Orns WFC post match on X. Watford 1, Sheffield United 2 was the final score at the Vic. It's 2 consecutive home defeats now at Vicarage Road. That's something that has not happened in a long time. And also, it's 3 consecutive defeats for the first time this season. So we are officially on a losing streak, on a slump now. And we've lost 4 of our last 5 games. But even more than that, more costly than that, is the fact that we have lost our goalkeeper, Daniel Batman, to what looks like a severe injury to his ankle or thereabouts. That is really how it looked. Not good at all. I'm actually going to watch the game back a bit later on today and see what happened here because it was really rough sledding for Daniel Batman. lying on the ground there in agony and in severe pain. So you know that this is a very serious and severe injury. So those of you on X, I do want to leave you with this: a speedy recovery. My thoughts with Daniel Backman: a speedy recovery, Daniel. It's going to be a road back. It's going to be a long road back. But if anybody can do that, it is you. And I believe in you. I know I've criticized you at times. I know that I've also praised you at times, Daniel. But most importantly, it's your well-being that matters, and really want to see you um, go through a really speedy recovery as best as can be hoped for given the circumstances. So sorry to learn of your injury today. But you will fight back. Tough times do not last, as I've often said. Tough people like you do. And Daniel, wishing you a speedy recovery. Thank you to those of you on X. I'm off to Instagram land next. Don't forget, if you are on X, you can listen to the podcast, which will be another episode of that in the making coming up in the next day or so on Apple and on Spotify. Of course, you can follow on youorns WFC on X and on YouTube and on Instagram, which is where we're going next. Please like and subscribe to the videos on the youorns WFC YouTube channel, and of course, subscribe and tell your friends about it. I'm going to head to Instagram next. For those on YouTube, stay tuned. I will stay with you for a few more minutes. And for those of you on X, take care. Well, final again, 1-1, Sheffield United 2 on Great Taylor Matchday. The fighting spirit goes on, but 3 defeats in a row. And Daniel Batman severely injured today. Thank you, everyone on X. Take care. And until the next game, you. Thank you, fellow Watford supporters, for sticking around on YouTube. It's great to have you here. We're going to go to Instagram world next. It's always a pleasure to have you on board as we continue for a few more minutes the Orns post match. And we'll do this also on Instagram now. So thank you very much for your time. It's always valued and always appreciated. And here we go now. We are going to be live in a moment on Instagram as well. And we are now live on Instagram with the Yuon's Instagram, Yuon's post match Instagram style, shall I say, Yuon's extra on Instagram live. That's what I'm trying to say here on this Saturday evening in the United Kingdom, wherever you are across the world. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Omar, and welcome aboard the Yuon's post match on Instagram. We're also live on YouTube right now. I'll read out your comments on YouTube. There are one or two more of those to read out. Lewis, hello to you. Happy New Year to you, Lewis. It's been a really rough day, though. Despite a really good Watford performance in the main, a good fight back from Watford, they showed the fighting spirit that Graham Taylor would have absolutely loved and absolutely preached. We did not get the result that we wanted. Really, really sad stuff today. But as Lewis has just said, we have been robbed, and every Watford fan would agree with me. Yep. Lewis, you put it absolutely right. I don't know if you were at the game today at the Vic, but there's no question that was a handball. That's what Lewis is talking about. That is going to be the talking point from Watford fans. Also, Daniel Backman's severe injury is going to be a talking point. He got stretchered off after the game was over. He was on the ground for at least 10 minutes. I was watching the pictures here live from California, and about 5 Watford players were surrounding him right by the goal. It was a very, very sad sight on the near the on and Swanson side of the goal. You had the physios out, the medical staff out. It was a real scene out there. 2 stretchers were out. It was really a real sad scene. And then you see him come off like that, stretch it off. I posted that picture, very sad picture, on X at youorns WFC. But I've also posted, as Lewis is talking about, and Happy New Year. Thank you, Lewis, for that as well. Posted on youorns WFC on X, the handball. I posted a freeze frame of the handball. It was so obvious. The referee clearly should have seen that. The linesman had a clear view of it, says Lewis. Thank you, Lewis, for the comment. But Lewis, one of the things that I've said, and I agree with you, that was a handball. We got blatantly robbed. Who knows whether we would have scored the penalty or not? We'll never know that now. I'm assuming that in the absence of Kayembe, who got subbed off, you would have had someone else take that penalty, probably Quadro Bar, maybe. I don't know. The bottom line is that the linesman should have easily flagged that down. But here's what I say, Lewis, and it doesn't take away from the fact that we know Watford got robbed. I said before I did the Instagram portion of this post match, I said this to people on X and on YouTube who are still with us, that this is a payback for us. Remember the game just 8 days ago at home to Portsmouth when we were given a penalty that was never a penalty. Never a penalty. It was outside the box against Portsmouth, and ball got taken down outside the box, and the linesman consulted with the referee and told him, "Nope, that was a penalty." And at the time, I was livid about that. I'm glad that we got the win and the Kayembe scored the penalty. But in the post match, then I said that that was never a penalty. And I said that that is going to be something that we can expect that can come back to haunt us. And that's why I was so upset about it, because I know well that these things come back to haunt you. And in football, and I actually said this on the post match, and I have to dig this up in the audio and I'll get it at some point, maybe later on this evening here from California. I said in the post match after that game that Sheffield United, a team like that, will get a penalty like that, or we will get some unfortunate break against us against a team like Sheffield United, and we will be screaming about it. And here we are, Exhibit A. Here we are, screaming about it against none other than who? Sheffield United. I do believe that these things do come around. I do believe in karma, and I do believe that things even out in football over the course of a football season. And Exhibit A, again, we got robbed blind today. Portsmouth got robbed blind 8 days ago. They lost 2-1. We get robbed blind today. 8 days later, we lose 2-1. I mean, this is what happens in football. And Lewis, yeah, this is what happens. I mean, I hate to say it like that. And thank you, Will Nash. Thank you for joining us. Will Nash WFC on Instagram has joined us. Thank you, Will. Hello to you. But Lewis, as I say, it doesn't take away the fact that we got robbed today. But I hope that maybe what I'm saying here puts a bit more context on it. I don't think any Watford fan, including myself, quite frankly, wants to hear about context when the context today was linesman, open your eyes, linesman, go to Specsavers, ref, go to Specsavers. That's the context here in this moment after a game that we played really well in. It was a better performance, Lewis. You're right. We fought hard. We didn't feel sorry for ourselves. We gave it everything. I think Tom Cleverley will be very pleased with the performance. What he won't be pleased with is the handball that got missed or ignored. And again, I think this is total karma. I really do. Because the linesman who should have seen it, Lewis, was a linesman. And then 8 days ago, we had a linesman who said, "No, referee, come over here. I want to talk to you." There's the penalty that no one in the building agreed with. Nobody in the building agreed 8 days ago that that was a pen. Nobody in the building. It's outside the box. These things even themselves out, Lewis. Um, I'm upset about it like you are, like a lot of Watford supporters are. But my upset with the failure of the linesman and the ref in this instance is tempered a lot by the reality that things even out in football, by the reality that just 8 days ago, we got the benefit of a penalty that we didn't deserve because the man was outside the box. These things even themselves out. That's how I keep myself perhaps not quite as upset about this as I should be, perhaps. But if you go on X at youorns WFC, oh, you see that photo that I screenshotted of that ball. You can clearly see his arms out a mile. His arm is out a mile, and the ball is on his arm. That's a handball all day long. And I tagged the FAG PGML, the FAPGMOL. I tagged the EFL, and I tagged Sky Bet Champ. Not that that's going to do anything because the decision's the decision. The game is over. But that should have been a penalty all day long for Watford FC. But we got a penalty that we didn't deserve 8 days ago. And so there it is. Them's the breaks. And that is how things even out during a footballing season. I want to read out one of your comments on YouTube. Matt said this: how can Cleverly expect Jefferson to improve on his confidence like he wants him to if he doesn't even put him in the team. Matt, that's a really good comment. I really think that that is key there. And quite frankly, I am going to make that again. Matt does this again. The youorns WFC Watford fan comment is that one from Matt, who has just said, "How can Cleverly expect Jefferson to improve on his confidence like he wants him to if he doesn't even put him in the team?" Yeah, he wasn't even in the squad today, and so unless there's been an injury that I am not aware of or that I'm not privy to or that has not been reported, and I have not gotten to every report. I've not had a quick look at any of the Watford things at the moment in terms of reports. Unless Daniel Jefferson has some kind of injury we don't know about, then why didn't he at least play a role in this game today against his former team? I mean, I don't know why. It's not like he can't play against them. It's Bournemouth that if Bournemouth were playing the game against us instead, you could see why he wouldn't play, obviously. But against Sheffield United, man, he's been from gone from Sheffield United for a good few months or a year or so now, at least, if not more. What was wrong with putting Daniel Jefferson in the game? Why didn't you put him in, Tom? Anyway, that did not happen. We didn't get any chance to see what Daniel Jefferson could have done or would have done. We didn't get to see any of that. So look, bottom line is the game is over. I think the positives that you take out the game is that Watford showed you some fight. Watford showed you some passion. Watford showed you some attacking skill and speed and pace and determination. They showed you all that in a really, really good way. But unfortunately, they weren't clinical enough. And the rough thing is, we give up another early goal. The first goal coming in the 13th minute of the game. We've given up goals in each of the last 5 games in the first 15 minutes. And that is a real problem for Watford because Watford have to always fight from behind in these games. It is not good for us to have to keep doing that. And as a result, we have to keep fighting from behind. It's going to take a toll. And if you do that against a top side like Sheffield United, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt in the game. Let's look at the table now. Again, for those of us who want to look at the table at this point, at the top of the table at the moment, and Leeds could only get a draw today. They are still top on 26 played, 53 points. Burnley in second, 26 played, 52 points. Burnley continued to keep clean sheet after clean sheet. The last goal they conceded was the one against us nearly 3 weeks ago now. I mean, that's incredible. Nearly 2 weeks ago now. Did not see the goal in the last 5 games or 4 games. Burnley, really good. I think Burnley are going up automatic. Leeds, I still don't trust in a big spot. And Sheffield United, with a win today, really helped themselves. They are on goal difference in third on 52 points. Sunderland on 47. Middlesbrough on 40. So Middlesbrough still a 6 point gap to Sunderland, their nearest and most bitterest rivals, if you will. Middlesbrough on 41. West Brom, who got a late draw today. Swansea got a late goal to get a draw against West Brom. They're on 40 now, West Brom. And then come the next teams. We are now all in a scrap of teams now chasing for those spots. There are now 5 teams that we're lumped with as a result of this loss, as a result of 3 straight defeats. We are now, and hello, Hornet 1881. Thank you very much for joining. We are now in a situation where we have really, really suffered with these 3 straight defeats. Blackburn in 7th on 39. Blackburn lost at home to Burnley, who hasn't. Bristol City won today. They do themselves a big favor. They are up to 8th on 37 points. Watford on 37. They're in 9th now, Watford. We've lost 10 games now. Wow. Those 3 losses in a row really have hurt. We've lost 10 all of a sudden. See how that speeds up so quick? And 4 of our last 5 we've lost. So we went from 6 defeats to 10 defeats in 2.5 weeks. That is really serious. And we've lost our goalkeeper. That's serious business. We've gotta really now rely on character, rely on togetherness, the way that Graham Taylor had preached for many a year. We've got to rely on ourselves here. We do have a game in hand, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't win the game in hand. We're now not winning away, and we're not winning at home. And so we've seen 3 consecutive defeats, poor performances against QPR and against Cardiff, not great against Portsmouth either. but terrific today. I think that's the silver lining here that you put your hat on if you're a Watford supporter. If you want something positive today, you want the fight back, which is a positive thing. And you also want the fact that we showed a lot of character in this game against a top side like this. Despite the really rough things that happened in the game, the injury to Backman is a real blow. Watford are going to have to go into the market to get a goalkeeper or get Miles Roberts back from loan at Partick, which I think is probably going to be the quickest thing for them to do. But Will Nash, WFC on Instagram, has said the following: Backman did make a few blunders, to be fair, but still annoying about the injury. Indeed, Will Nash, WFC. Thank you, Will, for that on Instagram. Really appreciate your comment. Bottom line is that he did make a few, I keep saying flu. He did make a few blunders in the first half, particularly. And thank you, Elliot Birdie, for joining us on Instagram. Yeah, Will, he did make a few blunders in the first half. He almost cost us a goal in the first half. But in the second half, I thought Backman was much better. He made some very big saves, point blank saves in the first half, but especially in the second half. I think three really good saves. A one-on-one, one of them was a good shot on target from a free kick, and the other one I think was a shot that was one-on-one as well down the left side, and Backman made himself big and he saved it. So Backman did do some very good things in that second half of the game, but yeah, the first half not so good. But the bottom line, he's kept you in the game there at 2-1. And then, of course, a few moments later, that awful injury. I'm going to be watching the game back in a short while, and I will absolutely look at this again, look at the game again, but especially the last few minutes. It was a really unpleasant sight. Watford falling to defeat, but Daniel Backman falling for a few months here. Surely he will be out for a number of months now. And we will see what Tom Cleverley has to say about this. I'm sure that will be the question he gets thrown at him throughout the time with the post-match interviews and press conferences. So that is where we are right now. Watford in ninth, Sheffield Wednesday in 10th on 37. Our goal difference is -1 now. Sheffield Wednesday's goal difference is -2. So that's your top 10. I predicted Watford would finish 8th this season. Right now, they are a place below that. Watford now have to start turning the ship around. The problem now is that the Watford goal difference begins to get ever more problematic because West Bromwich Albion, who occupy the sixth and final playoff place, the sixth place, the fourth and final playoff spot, I should say, uh, have a plus 11 goal difference. And so if West Brom have a plus 11 goal difference and Watford have a -1 goal difference, you can do the math. Watford have somehow got to make up 12 goals on West Bromwich Albion, assuming that West Brom keep winning the games that they play. West Brom didn't win today, but you see the challenge ahead for Watford. And that is going to be the reason why Watford, I've said this, whether Watford have won, drawn, or lost over these last couple of months, that's the reason that Watford are going to fall short of the playoffs. That's why before the season began, I picked them eighth because I think they're going to make improvements this season as they've done so far, but they're going to fall short. Sometimes you can't get everything back in one season. It takes a couple of seasons to keep building, keep building. You're seeing the building blocks, but we've got to push forward here now. And our character is tested severely now. If ever there were a time that character was on the line, it would be now for this golden boy team because of the fact that we are in a really bad place at the minute. Yeah, we're in ninth. Yeah, we're only 3 points off the playoffs. But now you're talking about 3 points off the playoffs with Daniel Backman, your goalkeeper, your number one, injured and probably out for the foreseeable future here with a severe lower leg injury, probably his ankle, probably his Achilles, something like that. Looked like his ankle, could have been his Achilles, whatever it is. It's a lower leg injury, and he'll be out for the foreseeable future. I mean, this could be a months long out. He could be out for months. I mean, you saw what happened with Saka for Arsenal, hamstring. He's going to be out at least 2 months, and that's a hamstring. With an ankle or with something like that, that looks like it could be a whole lot longer than 2 months, even. We could be talking about a season-ending injury here. Want to brace you for that possibility. It's a really sad situation. Um, Criticisms of Backman notwithstanding, I think at this moment you're hoping for the player, the person, to rally back. I certainly am, and I do send my deepest, best wishes and sympathies to Daniel Backman. Really wishing him a speedy recovery. This is going to be a long road back, and that tests his character too. And because this is a really serious injury, when you're stretchered off at the end of a game, and I put the picture of him, not that he would want that, uh, being stretchered off. Um, it's a really major thing. So anyway, that is um, the status of that. I do want to read out your comments, and I have read them all out now on both Instagram and on YouTube. I do thank you very much indeed. Wow, this puts a real pall on what was Graham Taylor match day today. Thank you so much, for fellow Watford supporters, for your time, both on Instagram and on YouTube, and earlier to those of you on X. My name is Omar. I want to thank you very much indeed, fellow Watford supporters, for joining me on YouOrns WFC post match on both Instagram and on YouTube, and as I said earlier, on X. Please follow along on Instagram and YouTube and on X at YouOrns WFC on all three. Subscribe to the YouOrns WFC YouTube channel, and don't forget to like the videos as well. I'll be doing a 10-minute take a little bit later on, but this has been a very difficult one. You're proud of the Watford fight. You're proud of the Watford performance. You're proud of Jeremy Ngake scoring his first goal for Watford. Terrific for him. Very pleased for him. But the bottom line is we lost the game, number one. And number two, we lost Daniel Backman, which is even a bigger blow than losing the game to Sheffield United. And that will be the talking point, as well as the handball that was clearly ignored by the linesman and the ref, and should have been the Watford penalty in the closing stages of the match. Praying for a speedy recovery, says Matt. Backman, hoping it's nothing too bad. And I'm hoping that too. Let's hope that my sentiments about it being a long-term injury are completely wrong. I would love to be wrong about that, and I really do dearly hope that I am. Thank you, everybody, for this edition, for another edition of joining us here on YouOrns Post Match on YouTube, Instagram, and X. That is it for now. Thank you very much indeed, Watford supporters. Until next time, we've got a game, of course, Thursday in the Carabao Cup against Fulham. Jonathan Bond certainly will be in goal for that at Craven Cottage for the Golden Boys. Until then, take care for the Watford supporters. Again, the final: Watford 1, Sheffield United 2. And until next time, you be well. Have a good rest of your Saturday. Take care.